Yeah, right.
Whoa, this ain't one.
Be down the side. And but I appreciate everybody on the chat tonight for your comments.
Good evening, everyone. Tonight, it's just going to be Melissa, myself, and Mr. Spanky. As we're kind of hosting this,
Ricky's abandoned us.
Ricky, for his own channel and his own chat, is not here. I don't see him anywhere. Ricky, anybody seen him? He's been tardy again. So I think he has
I think
a
Amber had some tryouts or something. I think.
Yeah, his daughter has some golf tryouts, I believe, and so I think he may join us here in maybe an hour or so. So that's the scoop. That's what's happening tonight. Mr. Spanky, how's your neck of the woods there in North Carolina? Correct.
Yep.
Anything exciting happening here?
Nothing too exciting that I've noticed offhand.
Have you extracted any honey from your colonies, Spanky?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I extracted a box earlier in the year and put it back on there.
And then remind me again, how many colonies do you have? I know you've done a few different things with some special hives that you have made yourself, and trying some different things out and such. But how many colonies do you have altogether?
So let's see. 5. I got 5 altogether.
And then what's your goal next year? 105?
That's funny.
Hey, it's doable. All you have to have is a dream or aspire to, you know.
I just want to keep what I got.
That's right. Yep. You know, I think that's wise. Sometimes I think it isn't about how many colonies you have. I think it's about the quality of the colonies that you have. You know, more is not more. You know, kind of our American way has always been bigger, better, more is better, and all that good stuff. But honestly, I think that having quality or having something that you are comfortable managing, I think that is key. And I don't know about you, but I actually think that probably this year, I think that for what Melissa and I want to do, I think we're probably about peaking about what we want to have as far as colonies. Now we'll build more nukes next year.
He said that about 100 hives also. So I'll just throw that out there.
You know, we've said this before, and I'll say it again. You know, I don't like to sit still. So long as the sun's up, I'm happy. I like to go after it. And you know, this was Melissa's thing here, so you know, I'll just blame her for it.
So
She knows how I am.
Yeah. See how that worked out for me.
So anything interesting happened this last week,
Brian,
with your colonies?
It's a sickness. It's a bee addiction.
I think that little cathedral style might have swarmed again.
Is that right?
Yeah. I don't know, though. It's been cooler, so I don't know. Because they were starting to beard whenever it was 90 degrees. But we've been at record lows at night.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I think we've kind of been experiencing.
In there.
Okay. I think we've kind of been experiencing the same thing. So like the last, I want to say maybe a week or so, it's been extremely cool. Like I'm talking during the day, hitting like maybe 80 degrees. Overnight lows are in the high 50s, and it's our humidity has kind of dropped down just a little bit, which has been beautiful. But unfortunately, much like St. Louis and the St. Louis weather, she's a little bit bipolar around here. But we're supposed to jump back up tomorrow. I think it's up to, I don't know, middle 80s, and then we jump up to 90. And I think Monday and Tuesday we're saying 94. So I'm sure that means the humidity is going to make a full comeback. But as it gets past Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday cools down to 90, and then it kind of gets into the 80s again by the end of the week. So, looking at our timeline and where we're at in our year, I would imagine that we're probably kind of rounding some corners when it comes to those extreme hot temperatures anyway. So, but having those nice days. Those always are a blessing because you know what? By the time we get to this point in time of the year, I don't know about you, Spanky, but I'm getting to the point where I'm about done spending my afternoons in basically a coat or a bee jacket, and then sweating my butt off, and that's that tends to burn me out a little bit, But nevertheless, we stay with it.
Well, it's going to be like super hot next week because of the mild temperatures we've had these last couple days. Like,
yeah,
normally you'd be kind of accustomed to the heat that's coming in here.
Yeah,
and now it's just going to be uncomfortable.
Now, Spanky, where you're at, do you guys ever see, as far as your temperatures are concerned, do you ever see like 100-degree days? Is that possible?
Yeah, we've had over 100.
And do you tend to see that pretty much every year, or is it kind of hit and miss?
I mean, we probably see it at least once a year.
Yeah. I know that's not a real common occurrence for us in St. Louis. You might see a handful of 100-degree days or a little bit above that, but generally speaking, they're pretty short-lived and kind of hit and miss. But by the time you add in mid 90s or upper 90s and the humidity that we have here, it feels like it's well over 100 degrees. So So Brian,
answer Greg's question.
Greg says, "Hey Tom, how do you pronounce it? Via?" You're correct. So actually, I'll tell you the idea behind it. We pronounce it via honeybees, but if somebody says VIA, I don't usually correct them because in reality, it kind of is both. So some years ago, so I have a lawn and landscaping company that I started 24 years ago, and it's called Clean Cut Lawn Care, and very quickly after we got started, we were doing some tree work and lawns and things like that. So my goal was at some point to rebrand the company because we quickly branched out into doing a lot of landscaping, drainage work, and things of that nature. So my company name kind of pigeonholes us. So trust me, there is a point to this, okay? Even though Melissa's probably rolling her eyes.
The story didn't have to be this long.
It did, because you need to understand the whole point of where I'm going with this.
Keep going.
Thank you for your permission, dear.
You're welcome.
So anyway, at one point in time, Melissa and I, talking about just different things and such, I talked about I have 3 kids, Vanessa, Isaac, and Andrew, my daughter, and then my identical twin boys. And we talked about rebranding the company to VIA or VIA, technically, properties that would kind of encompass all of what we had done in kind of one name. So it didn't really pigeonhole us. So I never really did anything with it. Always busy, something going on, just never took the time to do anything with it. And when Melissa and I started to beekeep, we were talking about it again. And we're like, hey, what if we did what we were talking about before, VIA honeybees? Because VIA would be Vanessa, Isaac, Andrew. Via actually means by the or from the, and honeybees. So it kind of has a double meaning there for us. So again, I hear people say it both ways. So there's the long way around or the preacher style, way around, Greg, as you would probably understand to that,
Let's see.
to that answer.
They've got it right.
Yep.
Long story long.
That's right. Long story long.
I think this is more correct. Short story long. That's like
I like the details of a story, okay? So forgive me if y'all get bored with my banter, but that's just how I am. So that's how via honeybees. But again, like I said, you can say either way.
So what about us and our bees this week? I haven't gotten the bees in this week. You have.
Melissa stayed
I've been-
home, and
I've been finishing wax and
I think-
making soap and stuff like that.
I think what she meant to say was she was home eating bonbons, reading her books, and
I
watching
have
soap
been reading
operas. I
books.
think
No soap operas.
no,
Couple movies maybe.
a couple movies. Okay,
Yeah.
well, it's been a nice week out there. I can't sit at home, so I was out working a lot of landscaping jobs
Tom-
here this week.
Tom
so
paints a.
I'm an artist when it comes to that.
He uses a lot of colors.
Yeah, so I can.
There's
I
a
can-
lot of detail in his pictures he's painting.
That's
there,
right.
Brian.
I'm a man of details. I need to understand things. I need to be very clear when I'm explaining something to somebody. She's always like that. You don't need to give all those details. You don't need to do this. And this is the
This is our ongoing argument. Our
it's
discussion.
not an argument.
No.
Not
It's our
even in the
ongoing
least.
discussion.
Not even in the least. It's discussion.
So we can move away from this. I'm curious who, because since Brian's on here, and I don't know who else is on here that does creamed honey, because I've been working on my creamed honey. I have the Hilco creamer. I put in 12 pounds of seed honey and 120 pounds of liquid honey that I heated up to about 160 degrees to make sure it was all uncrystallized. It's been in that creamer for about three weeks now. I'm trying to keep it creaming until it gets like a nice off-white color. What are you guys when you jar your creamed honey, does it lighten as it sets, or does it stay the same color that it is when you jar it? Because I've noticed it's getting lighter progressively as the longer I leave it in there. I'm just curious what other people do.
And how long have you had it in there right now?
I said that already. Were you not listening?
I wasn't listening. I didn't hear a word she said, guys.
3 weeks.
Nothing.
3 weeks. It's been in there 3 weeks.
Spanky, do you make any creamed honey yourself?
I have. I've done creamed and I've done the whipped honey where you put it in a blender and whip it.
Yeah.
Well, so
trying to
that's
think,
the-
what's the stuff that we got from you, Spanky? I just help me remember. I'm having a mind blank. That honey that you gave us, that was infused. The apple pie, the hot
Yeah.
honey. I don't remember. Was there creamed honey in that? You have to help me.
I don't
out.
think he sent us a creamed honey.
No,
No.
No.
I'll tell you what, though. The apple pie. That's
It was probably a good thing he didn't send us a creamed honey, because when Brian sent us a creamed honey, it was liquid honey by the time we got it.
yeah. Unfortunately, it's the
Richard, how long do you cream it for if it's white? I'm just curious because I'm trying to get it as light as possible.
where are you sticking it? Is it still in the creamer? Have you
Yeah,
not
it's still
bottled it?
down there. It's still spinning 15 minutes every hour. So it spins for 15 minutes and then it stops for 45 and spins again. Spanky's hot honey is hot honey. That's right. That is some caliente stuff.
muy caliente. I tried just a little bit of that muy poco, and it was very, very hot. And I'm not a guy that likes hot. We've already been over that before, but but very good. I'm a pretty big fan of that apple pie, though. That's pretty top notch, Spanky. You got
What's your room temperature that the creamer is in?
Down
probably
there it's probably
65.
it's probably warmer than that because the 3 bottling tanks are down there.
Yeah, that could be.
It's probably like 70 degrees down there. I bet.
It might be 70 degrees. Our basement stays a little bit cooler. It's completely finished, but just a little bit cooler, much like you'd expect.
The room that the bottling tanks and the creamers are in, is there even a vent in there?
Yeah.
Is there a vent?
Yeah.
It's probably closed because it's only honey stuff in there.
Yeah,
Because hot honey would be good for sinuses.
yeah, for sure.
You should market it that way.
There you go. You can do that.
Sinus clearing honey.
That's right. It'd be a natural remedy there.
So what was really fun this past week was Tom and I did 2 little small speaking engagements, and we took a bunch of the honeys that people have given us from around the country, and like Brian sent us some. We have some from Florida from the cruises. We have some of Sweet
Wood.
Harlan from Jamie,
Mhm.
Some of Spanky's stuff, a few
Yep.
other people, and we took those to the speak engagements that we did because they were like I said, kind of rather small, and we did like honey tasting, and people were like just amazed at how different all these honeys taste.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's for sure. Every time we've gone to a market, I enjoy the interaction with people, and somebody walks up and like, "Hey, can I offer you a sample?" Because I always offer samples. And occasionally you'll get that person that comes in that says, "No, I don't really like honey. I've never liked it." I'm like, "Oh, okay, well that's fine." And I'm like, "Can I offer you a free sample?" I'm like, "Let me just. You're not obligated to buy anything from me. Let me just let you try what it is that our bees have produced, and you tell me if that's your same your same idea." I don't know if I would say more often than not, but very often we've had people who have said that to me. They try the honey, and then immediately thereafter they're going, "Wow," and you can tell it was a legitimate, not just them kind of just trying to make you feel good, but they're like, "Wow, that was really good." So, and we usually separate ours from an amber to dark, and then our light early spring honey. And again, it's really amazing. And again, I don't really care that if they even buy something from me then or not. I just want them to understand that if you have been buying honey from the store, it may be, and I'm not saying that all store honey is bad, because I know there's a lot of people that do sell in there, and some really good beekeepers. But I always tell people, I'm like, I would be cautious if you see that this has come from a different country. Often it could be adulterated. So I'm like, find somebody that's local that that you like, follow them along. If you like the taste of it, that is whom I would urge you to purchase through. Find somebody that's like that.
We have so many people that will come to the table with somebody else and say they don't like honey. Like, well, have you ever had local raw honey? And they're like, well, no, we just get it from the store. I'm like, well, taste this and then tell me what you think. And then like, as soon as they taste the stuff we've got, they're like, oh my God, that tastes so different. That's so like, I like that.
Mhm. Yeah. So, it's always fun just to change people's mind, and they can give you a small opportunity to give somebody a
little bit of education.
Yeah. It's not going to hurt anything, who knows? You might make a beekeeper out of somebody who had no interest in doing it.
So Brian, did you let the liquid honey cool before adding the seed? I did. So I think it was Thursday night. I on the stove melted down all my liquid, and then I poured it into the creamer. I let it set overnight, and the following afternoon, when it was completely cooled, that's when I added my seed to it and started mixing it. So yeah.
I did mine like Richard said in the comments. Just put a little bit of seed in the jar and then put the honey in there, and then stuck it in the refrigerator.
Yeah. Well, once I jar it, I'll throw it in the fridge downstairs and for it to set, because obviously our basement isn't 55 or 57 or whatever.
Yeah.
Excuse me, whatever it needs to be to really set it up that way. But that's how I usually do it.
I think we're going to add into our basement. We have a little, I don't want to say workshop, but some cabinets, and we've got a little space there that Melissa does some of her mad scientist stuff over there.
My soap making and lip balms and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I said that already. I said mad scientist. So
I'm about to get mad.
Oh gosh. Spanky, help me out here, buddy.
On your own.
How did I know that was going to come out of your mouth? But I think we're going to add some more cabinets and some countertop space down there. And I'm going to put in basically what would be like a beverage refrigerator, or maybe even like a wine fridge without the actual wine bottle holding shelves. We found a couple that we liked. We'll kind of incorporate those in there. We're going to use those for storing some of the, I don't know about your seed honey specifically, but your creamed honey, we'll put it in there so it sets, as well as
like home honey.
Our
that's Tom's mom right there.
Yeah,
So
she means business. I seen her at church Sunday. What she did. Melissa was being mean to me in church. Lord forgive her. She doesn't know what she do. What she do? What she does.
No, Tom got tagged in the eyebrow by a bee.
I got it twice. This last week, I don't know what it was. I usually, whenever I walk away from bee yard, I quickly unzip my veil and throw it up over my head because I don't want to have it on anymore. So, potions, yeah. Well, maybe it was potions, Brian. I don't know. But I flip my veil up over my head, and inevitably you'll have one bee that'll just come out of nowhere and just tag you right above the eye or in the face somewhere. And you know what? That's fine. I was in their home, so I probably deserve that. But anyway, that's part of beekeeping life, I guess.
And then you got another one the very next day.
Yeah,
didn't
a
you?
couple days later, I got tagged in there again. She didn't get me as good. So, like the first one that she hit me, if anybody has ever had
It
this
was two
before,
different hives, right?
2 different hives, 2 different days. Tagged me right above the eye. The first one that hit me, and I don't know if Spink, if you've ever had this happen, you ever get tagged in a spot that was just like, man, that hurt. Like almost like the stinger landed right on on a nerve ending or something. That's what happened that first day to me. And so like she stung me, and it was a good sting, and just bam, nailed me. I'll tell you what, it was. Yeah, it made me cry, and I told this to JW. I'm like, I cried for about a half a day about it. So anyway,
He did.
yeah. So let's see here. See if Lee wants to drop that link.
Well, you can just ask him. He can hear you.
I don't know.
He's in the background. Lee, would you like to drop that link,
I already
please, for
texted
people
him.
to join?
I
That'd be
already texted him. I
fabulous.
just text him. Leave it alone.
Oh, there it is. Thank you,
Look.
Lee.
Golly. Thanks, Lee. Thanks for doing that per my request. Thank you. I really appreciate it.
So, if anyone wants to get on here with this ridiculousness we have going on right
That's
now,
right.
since we're unsupervised,
Tell us your story, and I want to hear all the details, okay? Melissa can't boot you off or delete you, whatever. The details, all the information. You need all the details.
see, my worst bee sting was under my fingernail. And what really stunk about it is it wasn't even a live bee that did it. We were at home, and I had some comb honey that I was squeezing out, and I went to flick a bee out of it, and the stinger must have just squeezed out of its little back end and got me right underneath my fingernail. Oh, that hurt for like 2 days,
Yeah.
but like extremely hurt for probably a couple hours.
Yeah, I guarantee that didn't hurt as bad as mine.
I'm sure it did. It
No,
worse.
that's a little bit more of a weaker story.
No.
Not really
No.
thrilled with that one. You didn't sell me on it. So anyway, I'll tell you guys what was going on with us. So here this last week, I had a lot of work in the landscaping to take care of and such, but I did work on setting
that
up
doesn't sound pleasant.
the feed tank, and I was mixing up some 3/4 to 1. Now I've finished all of my treatments, my summertime treatments. We got all those out of the way. We did our mite washes, 2 rounds of Apiguard, and had a little bit of an interesting story with some of that. I think I told that last week, but I wanted to. Sometimes Apiguard can actually shut the queens down a little bit. Now every one of my colonies did not shut down because I still seen some different stage larvae and eggs and stuff like that in some of them, but some of it kind of did shut them down a little bit. So I kind of wanted to stimulate them just a little bit. So I went ahead and gave them a 3/4 to 1 syrup mixture, and I gave them all about a gallon, depending on the size colony. And then what I'll do here fairly quickly is maybe switch over to a 1-to-1. Now, every one of my colonies doesn't need to be fed, so I won't continue to feed them all. I'm not trying to be wasteful, but again, I'm just trying to stimulate them a little bit. I do have some third deep boxes on some of these colonies after I had pulled super. So there's still a pretty good bee population and a vast majority of them. And I'm just trying to give them a little bit extra room. And maybe if they are stimulated a little bit, they can build me some more wax, because we're planning on working on building all of our own nukes here this next year. And I'd like to have at least 60 and maybe 75 of them that we're going to post for sale after the new year gets here. So that'll be an interesting setup for us.
JW got a new background.
But our special guest, the man,
Don't you go there.
you told me not to do it, but you know that I can't help myself, JW. My pal, my friend, JW, everybody.
Ex-friend.
Ex-pal, ex-friend.
No, I know you. No,
Now you're not going to get that plane ride.
no. He's still
Or
taking me up
that,
on the plane.
steak dinner.
No, he's giving me. I'm getting both. He knows that already. So
Oh, Jet Wings Irwin over here.
I know JW's had a busy week. He's told me a little bit about it. You want to share with the group what your
I've
experience?
done it all this week. I've been I tore down all my production hives and did my last extraction and took all my queen excluders off and all that and broke them down, getting them ready for winter. Spent a day pulling honey supers by myself and spent the next day and a half extracting honey by myself. And I spent the
I'm playing
day,
yeah.
Spent the day today trying to clean up some of the mess that I made the last couple of days.
Yeah.
And I put all my wet supers out for the honey or the bees to clean up for winter because I'm not sticking them back on the hive from the little suckers to fill them dudes up again.
Yeah.
Cut all the honey. You know, I would, if I didn't like getting stung so well, I'd probably just quit keeping bees. I love them bee stings.
It's the highlight of your day when you get stung.
Yeah. You know, it's
Some
okay.
people, they cry and moan around and, oh, their eye hurts and all this type of crap. And heck, I do a little Scottish dance every time I get stung. It's so much fun. I just can't hardly
I think JW goes out there and beekeeps
stop
in the
being
bee
there.
Oh,
just to
gosh.
see how many stings he can get.
Why'd you do that to me? No. You know what, JW, we're booting her out. We're not gonna let her hang out with us anymore.
Hey, you want some stings? You're to start you some hornet keeping. You'll get loads of stings from that.
If you start keeping hornets, you better start posting videos because I will watch every single one of those.
Well,
Definitely.
I've got a nice swarm of yellow jackets around one of my concrete corner posts that I was trying to weed eat around a couple of days ago. I stirred them up pretty good, but they love me too. They wouldn't sting me. So
You take and throw some peanut butter on that hole. Then yellow jackets are coming out of.
yeah.
There you go, Thomas. Listen to your mother.
I'm going to keep her, Mom. She puts up with my shenanigans, so I better.
If you've got any raccoons left around, they'll dig them up and eat them.
Yeah, you know what, Spanky, what's weird is I've had an influx of raccoons around my house lately. I have no idea why. I feel like somebody's been planting them in my backyard.
And you better thank the good Lord I'm not a little closer. You'd have had more than you got. I can tell you that.
Oh, boy. Oh, there it is.
JW's bed.
I'll tell you what, you've got some good-looking raccoons you're breeding down there because the coat on those things
I
is
know, it looks so
phenomenal.
nice and soft.
I'm telling you, I've got them dudes cleaned out. I haven't caught one for over a week. You know, they're. I think I've got them thinned down finally. And people's worried about them all coming home. I've been waiting on them. I haven't had a one come back yet. So
That's good.
Well, you just caught the dumb ones.
That's what I was thinking, Greg. It's keeping like the arthritis at bay and everything else. That's why he likes it. He's found the fountain of youth.
That's
It's
right.
bee venom.
That's what it is. He's found it,
Mhm.
and he likes getting stung. We know that.
It doesn't bother me that much, honestly. And I don't really care for honey that much, so it's not the honey that keeps me young, I can tell you.
Just hard work, right? Staying busy and
Well,
keeping
I don't know about the hard work part of it. I'm going fishing tomorrow. Heck with these honeybees.
That sounds like a good time too. I think we're gonna hang close here this weekend. We're gonna.
Well, we need to. All of our supers are stacked on pallets back at the shop, so we need to treat those and get those stored, so I don't have to keep listening to somebody complaining they're in his way.
When she means we, this is the we right here.
Yeah. That
This-
Greg Burns post there runs that good bologna. He fries it up.
Mm.
We actually went out to eat. I was out there here a while back. We went out
What?
to eat.
You went out to eat? You go out to eat way
He
too often.
ordered a fried bologna sandwich. That's his favorite. Greg Burns.
Yeah, you're spoiled, GW.
I
You
know.
go out to eat too
He
much.
goes out all the time. He's going out to
I'll
eat.
tell you what,
That's
that
all he
guy-
posts about going out to eat.
I need to get in the cattle business. You know that?
Well, he sold all the cattle. He's got bees behind him.
Oh
now.
yeah. So JW, I was working with a cowboy today. We were on a landscaping job.
were?
Yeah,
You were.
Shane.
Oh, Shane was out there.
So anyway, there's a guy just retired, I don't know, a couple of years ago. I think he's about 60 years old, and he retired from concrete, but he also keeps has for quite a long time kept cattle. He doesn't do it on any kind of level like you. I don't think you did, but he likes to do that. So he does a little cowboying and stuff like that. Comes out in his cowboy hat, working out there, and towards St. Louis. So those guys were tearing out a couple concrete sidewalks or some flagstone sidewalks for me. We're going to pour some concrete tomorrow, and I'm finishing up setting some big boulders and some landscaping. So anyway, we're doing a nice little project for one of my great customers.
I'm going to stay inside in the air condition and sit on the couch.
I'm going to go make money. That's what I'm going to do. Somebody's got to pay for
that poor dude, whoever that may be.
She's gonna go spend money tomorrow.
Mm.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Oh, look.
Oh, look at there.
Oh,
There comes our.
He decided to join us.
Fashionably late.
Hey, Rick.
He just comes in whenever he wants. You know what? This guy. You know what, though? I'm going to let him because he's my pal. So,
Yeah, I appreciate it.
yeah. Hey, it's your channel, by the way, so you can do what you want.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, I do hate that I was late, guys. I really do. You know, when you have a outside life and you get your bees and everything else going on, and I know Tom and Melissa's gone through this with their kids. It's like Amber's playing volleyball. She got on the golf team, so now we got that to deal with, and bees and everything else in life. It's definitely a lot of stress, and so I do apologize for being late, and hopefully we won't keep doing that, but we'll see what goes on. So, but I do appreciate everybody on the chat tonight, and I appreciate everybody getting things started, and hopefully everybody's having a good night. So,
I don't think you need to apologize for putting family first, Ricky. Just
I appreciate
that. That's not necessary whatsoever. I think we did it. I think we didn't butcher it up too bad. I think we kind of held down the fort somewhat.
Well,
Hopefully, you don't get any nasty grams or negative emails from the clowns you had running the show for a minute.
yeah.
Although we did have Lee in the background, he keeps it. He keeps it all, keeps it straight and narrowed.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think he's about to talk to everybody to death on here.
They do.
Just a blabbering away. Old Spank just a blabbering away.
That's
Go ahead.
right.
That's
Just
good.
Doing what I do, just doing what I do.
Just for FYI, around here, we actually had a night last night. It got down to 37 degrees up here in the mountains in August. Yeah, so that is definitely very chilly for us.
No kidding.
Well, we got some special weather. It's been wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
I picked a good week to do all my extracting because it was cool, and I got all my Apiguard finished up. I put on my last treatment of Apiguard this morning for my I call them starter hives, all my young hives. Of this, no, they're not officially into production yet in my world. So, and I'm going to start treating my after I get done fishing tomorrow. That's my priority for tomorrow is fishing. Heck with these honeybees.
Sounds good.
It really ain't much to do this time of season anyway, so it's just trying to get them ready for winter, right?
Yep.
Well,
That's my goal right now. Just setting them up for success.
I feel like it's a lot of maintenance right now.
tested. I had one. They robbed one of my hives out. I just found it today and broke it down. There wasn't 200 bees left in it. And they were all robbers. I give them the old Mike Berry treatment. I just shook them out on the ground and from another hive and walked off and tore the boxes apart.
Yep. I seen one of our hives last week, and actually in the horizontal hive, Ricky, the first one we bought from you, it was actually a good colony in there too. It was pretty strong. And they were getting robbed out. I walked back there and seen it. And I'm like, yeah, that's robbing. And I just walked away. So, I just let nature take its course on that one.
Sometimes once it starts, it's hard to stop it anyway. So it's like,
And that was kind of my thought. There had been bees already dripping off the front of it and trying to get in. I'm like, you know what? It's probably I'll put forth a lot of effort, get stung a bunch, and then end up with nothing good. You know, because even if I was able to shut them down, they'll probably go right back there the next day and continue to rob them. You know, so
It's
I
almost better
noticed
to
it.
move them. You know, if you could get some frames out and just move the whole colony away, it's almost better to do that and shrink them down to a smaller box. But
yeah, yep.
most of the time when I see it happening, it just let nature run its course, right? There's
Yeah.
something wrong with that colony probably anyway, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, when I was filling boxes, this hive was in line. I went to check it, and I seen a lot of capping, particles at the entrance. So I knew what was going on. So I went ahead and did all my extracting. I went back today and broke that hive down, and it's done deal. They're gone.
oh, you know what? Brian Flower Street asked a question about the clarifier and stuff up here that you never answered.
Oh, I'm sorry. You must have been busy talking.
There it is.
Yeah, I think that's what it was.
Me busy talking.
Seems like that's a good answer.
No.
So Brian, I like it, but I'll say this.
I'm working on a video for it now.
Yeah, we probably should have worked a little hard at that, but we were during extraction. We were really busy.
He
I
doesn't
just
do
didn't.
anything to work on the videos. I don't know what he's talking about.
You need to have a personality. You need to have a face. Right?
You need to talk more, Melissa, so we don't have
Hey, I even got a chuckle out of JW, and that doesn't happen real often. So, see what I did
Anyway, finish. I'm sorry.
there?
I
No.
interrupted
You interrupted me.
I know. I interrupted.
Maybe you'd like to take the stage there.
No,
Miss
go
Softman.
ahead. Go
Huh?
ahead. You're all you.
It seemed to work pretty well. I will say that I like the process that I had started here this year. I kind of call it just a poor man's automatic system is what it is. You know, I don't want to spend at this point in time $40,000 to get the full mini extraction line, and but this seemed to work well. So we just for anybody out there that doesn't know what we have as far as that goes, we start off with a Lyson automatic uncapper. And I'll tell you what, that machine works really well.
We just got it this year at Nobby.
Yeah, we got it, picked it up at Nobby, and pre-ordered it from Dwayne at Dogwood Ridge. Great guy, loved dealing with him. And he's not too terribly far from where we're at, but we picked it up at Nobby and brought it back. And I did spend a lot of time getting it set up. I spent part of an evening and then part of the next morning making sure I went through the book. And they don't have a great description inside their owner's manual of how to set it up, but I did watch a video that the guys from Better Bee had put on, which helped me a little bit. So I did watch the video, talk to another gentleman, Jim Masucci, who's near me, that runs a handful more colonies than I do, but he's been a blessing to have help out and such. So we've got the Lyson automatic uncapper. Love the machine, works well. I really don't have any complaints about it, honestly. It's a little pricey, but you know, we've kind of talked about this before. What is everyone's time worth? You know, I still have to run a landscaping business, make money, and then Melissa spends it all in beekeeping, basically, is what we're going with that. So, you know, somebody has to get out there in the trenches and in the ditches and digging and sweating. But then we had already had on the left, you see that on casters, that's a 24 frame Hilco extractor. It works really well. Again, I don't really have any problems with that. Whatever, there was a little minor glitch when I first got it, and John rectified it very, very quickly. You can't really see in that picture, but in between the two extractors, there it is. There's the Hilco clarifier. Now that one is only heated from the bottom. It's not heated around all the sides. And I would say a clarifier works pretty well.
I thought it worked really well.
Yeah. I don't have experience with some really nice automatic systems and things like that. So again, this is kind of my poor man's extraction line. So you can see at the end of the Lyson uncapper, there's an outlet for the honey to drain out into the clarifier there. And then both of those Hilco extractors, the one that we've had for a couple of years, which is the 24, And then the one on the far left of the screen is the 32, which actually I really like that 32 better than the 24. Both of them work very well. The setups are basically the same. The only difference is obviously the volume, but I felt like even though my one on the right's on casters, when I first started, it wasn't on casters. And that you always try to load it as best that you can, keep it as even as possible.
Balanced.
But, it just, you can't get them perfect, right? And you slowly bump the speeds up. I thought that the 32 frame, maybe because it has a little bit broader stance on it, was a little bit better at that. But I'm going to probably make a couple changes this next year. And I'm thinking about building some kind of a stand for each one of them to go on. I might actually part with the 24 and go with another 32. So I have two 32s running. Undecided, but regardless, both of them do flow into the clarifier, work their way out to the end of the clarifier. And it does a fairly good job of getting the heavy stuff out of there. And then from there, I would pump it with the Hilco pump, which I love. That thing works magnificently. I don't have any issues with it. It's a simple machine. Again, John has a great warranty. The pump worked well.
It's quiet.
It was quiet. You turn it on when you need it, turn the volume up, and it isn't like it's just spraying honey everywhere. But it moves volume again very well. And then you can kind of see at the bottom of the screen there, barely visible. That's a food grade 55-gallon drum. And I just pumped everything into those drums. And for me, it was pretty simple. I had 5 of them total. I think we filled
2, 3.
3.5.
Yeah.
Maybe 3.5 or something. And we had some very, very light we extracted. I put that in buckets already, so I didn't put that in those drums. And I just let it settle out, basically. Some of it's still in there, but I use, I don't know, it's kind of like it's a screened dipper that you might use in like a fryer or something. And it's got a mesh. And I use that because all that stuff, your wax, any beet parts, anything that's lighter than the honey itself is going to float straight to the top. I mean, unless you had even a piece of wood would float as well. Which I didn't have any of that in there, but I'm sure if you had something metallic, like a piece of metal or something like that, it would probably sink. But we're going to strain it before it goes into any tanks, and I'm going to skim the top off. But once I had done that, I mean, it really got it pretty clean. And the process didn't take up a lot of my time, so I was able to get through it fairly quickly. And this is something, the way I have it set up, that Melissa and I, or 2 people, could run by themselves. So meaning I don't need to have 2 or 3 extra helpers in there trying to get done in a few days. Melissa and I could do this ourselves and not spend any more time. So I feel like the investment for me of what I spent on it was well worth it. Because again, I can be out there making money in landscaping jobs, and it has to make sense for me. So that's kind of how we viewed it. Even though we purchased these things, everything that we purchased, Melissa and I talked through and kind of worked through an idea. And the way I set this up was just kind of an idea in my head based upon other people I'd spoke with. So I didn't know if this was going to be a complete crash and burn or what, but I really don't have any complaints about it. It did save me a lot of time.
Well, because our bottleneck, which most people's is when you're straining and filtering your honey out of the extractor.
Yeah.
And that was our huge bottleneck. So
Yeah.
that's where that clarifier really helped out.
So DC has a question here. If you were to make purchases and the uncapping process, here, don't move it so I can see it. What would you think of $500 to $700 budget for equipment? I already have a small electric extractor and an OK uncapping tank.
If you're looking for uncapping process, I would look into that for that price. I would look into that Simple Harmony Farms and uncapper.
Yeah, that works well. We've talked about this in the past, and I don't know.
That's
DC,
what we started with.
We did it. We had used it up until just this last year. I knew as soon as we finished extracting last year, I put it on Marketplace and I sold it right away because I don't want to have to store it. Space for me is a precious commodity, so I don't want to have extra pieces of equipment around that I don't need. I was able to sell it, and then I knew we already talked about what we were going to do for this next year.
DC, that's what it is. That roller one, that's Simple Harmony Farms.
Yes. The negative side to that would be
you don't get as much wax cappings because it just
Right.
slices the cappings.
so
And it makes a
you'll get
little bit more debris in your extractor.
That's right. So So the straining process, which for us was using, the stainless steel you can buy on Amazon. They have a heavier screen and it flows into a tighter mesh screen. And then we use the bucket tops strainers. They're plastic. I think you can get it from Dadat. They have a 200 micron, 400, 600. I don't know if they have anything different than that, but we used to strain it, down between, that 400, or I'm sorry, I guess it was about the 400 mark is what we were kind of really
200, 400, and 600. But
yeah.
whatever.
So, and that was always a slowdown because you end up moving around, 4 or 5 buckets with these strainers in them, just trying to keep it flowing to keep the process moving. So those are inexpensive and they work. There's nothing wrong with that whatsoever. You don't have to spend, $1,000 to extract honey. But I will say, depending on how many hives you have or how many supers that you get, you have to ask yourself the question, what is your time worth? Am I retired? Do I have more time like JW that doesn't do a lot?
Oh, gosh.
I'm waiting for his facial reaction.
I'm going to go watch David Burns.
I know that's a lie.
So DC said, okay, so the heated uncapping knife would be a good option too. The only thing is that our issue with knives is unless you have those combs really drawn out thick, the knives really aren't efficient.
Yeah.
And you're going to have to go back and scrape them anyway. So
I'm going to do 2 things next year in my operation. I'm going to put if it's a 10 framer, I'm going to have 9 in my supers. If it's an 8 framer, I'm going to have 7 in my supers. And I'm going to have me clarifier.
Oh.
And I'm going to have me a bigger extractor. So if anybody's in need of a 3-time used 9 framer, and I'm going to have a nice Hilco with nothing wrong with on the market, because I got a question, 2 questions for Tom and Melissa on your extraction procedures there. And I noticed Charlie asked you about the bottleneck on the strainers and so forth. And he was asking you about if you were taking honey out of the drums. Are those blue drums you got? Is that one that you rinsed the Roundup from your landscape business?
Oh, yeah, there he is.
And run that honey in?
Yeah. Yeah, that's where we get all the bulk.
I thought those looked familiar. I thought I seen those last summer when I was out there.
See, what you do is if you peel the Roundup sticker off there and just a quick rinse with a hose is all it really needs. That's about all it takes.
Yeah.
I mean, if you think about it, everything you eat probably has that in there anyway, right? So
I've got some of those totes around. I just rinsed them out, put sugar water in them. That's what I feed my bees. I don't know why they're all dying.
So DC asked too, a heated bottling tank, how much do they run? It depends on the size that you get. What sizes do we have?
Well, yeah, it depends. Yeah, it really depends on the manufacturer, the size and all that. We decided, I really like USA made stuff. And I realized that even though John's stuff might engineer some of it here and assemble some of it. And I think he said this before, that most of that stuff does come out of China. And I'm going to say you're probably hard pressed to find any one product that doesn't have some Chinese pieces in it. But sometimes I guess we all make, I won't say sacrifices, but you have to kind of budget, accordingly. But we decided to go with the Maxant. I really like I think up in the Northeast somewhere,
Massachusetts.
I had a Dadat or 2 Dadats when I first got started. When we first extracted the first time 6 years ago,
something like that, and they were fine. There's nothing wrong with them
because we didn't do any extraction our first year, and they worked fine. I didn't have any problem with it. There's a few things I liked that were a little bit better about the Maxant. The shape of the tank.
And we're actually going to get the Maxant ones originally, but then COVID happened and you couldn't get anything from Maxant. So that's why we ended up with the Dadat ones.
Yeah, they were really hard to get. We have one 16-gallon that we're going to use for our bourbon barrel aged, and we have 2 of the, I think there's 24 gallon ones. I really don't need to keep any more honey we keep our heat low at like around 94 to 96 degrees. I definitely want to keep it below 100, and I don't like to leave it sit in a warming tank very long because over time it will lightly darken it up. So I did like the no drip valve from the Maxent, was kind of where I was going with that. But Hilco did develop their own. I haven't used it. I don't know anything about it. It may be phenomenal.
I've got a 19 Hilco. It works good.
Yeah.
It's got a one drip bottling spout on it. You get one drip out of it after I keep a.
Yeah, and you know what? That'll even happen with the Maxent. I'll notice sometimes
You get
after
one
you finish
drip,
bottling,
yeah.
I'll go down there if I don't put anything under it, and I'll see one drip on the floor. So, that could be a little bit of honey starts to crystallize in there a little bit, and it maybe doesn't let that valve shut completely. So I don't think anything's perfect.
I don't know. Mine will give you one drip just about every time.
Yeah,
Okay.
ours will too. So heated bottling tank or Hilco speed filler, two different
Yes, two different machines.
Yeah. So the heated bottling tank is going to keep your honey from crystallizing, so you can bottle it when on demand whenever you need it. The speed, and we have both of them. We have the speed fill, we have the bottling tanks. I'm going to use the speed fill for filling my creamed honey jars. That's what I want it for. I know Brian Flower Street Farms has the speed fill also. Do you use that for your regular honey, Brian, or do you use that only for your creamed honey? Because I purposely want it just for my creamed honey, for filling those jars. Because when I'm filling my regular honey, I know where to stop in those jars. I don't need the speed fill to do that.
Mm-hmm.
It fills pretty quick out of the bottling tanks.
Yeah, I would say most of John's products that he sells will give a small time beekeeper a nice piece of equipment, because he does carry a very good warranty. And I do know for a fact John will stand behind any problems that he has.
Yeah, that's no problem.
Yeah, a few minor ones. And I'll tell you what, to me, that I have the utmost respect for people who would do that. If they sell a product and don't back it up, I probably wouldn't have gone back with John, if I'm being really honest. But and a couple little minor issues that I've had with things, John jumps right on it. So that I really appreciate. That's that's integrity right there. So but his stuff again works well. I think that there's some things that he has that you could probably find with other companies that might work a little bit better. But again, is the difference in cost going to be worth it for you? For example, most of your heated clarifiers that heat on all sides, with the exception of the top, will run you probably about $2,000, $2,200 as kind of a 4-compartment one. John sells his for under $1,000. So I could buy 2 of John's for one of a licensed brand or, another brand. So again, it's what I chose to go with. I did use the heat option on the bottom, even though when I was extracting, it was pretty warm already, just to keep it flowing pretty well. And that clarifier did work well. Again, I have one little small issue with it. Yeah, he does have them on sale. I think they're around, I forget. There you go, $8.49.
Will that forego the screens totally? The clarifier, will that suffice to replace the screens? Will you get any?
So
I don't know about that.
Because there is still wax and stuff that floats to the top in those 55-gallon barrels.
Yeah, it's not perfect, JW. It depends on how you are.
The first picture, if you look in the reviews, they're having it come out of the clarifier in one of the bucket screens.
Oh, do
That's
they?
the first photo of the reviews, for that clarifier he showed on the screen.
I could probably make a short video at some point and post it showing inside. I did skim off 2 of the few barrels that we had done. I could probably show a picture of what's left on there and me kind of straining it off, just so everybody has an idea.
Yeah, there's that picture. Yeah, look, that shows it.
Whose is that?
That's just a review.
I know. Oh, just a random picture. Yeah, that's about what ours looked like. I mean, that's pretty clean in that last thing. So our plan is to put it into the buckets. We let it settle out, kind of like what Mr. Ed does. He lets it settle out and lets all the wax and debris. Well, yeah, he puts it in drums and lets it settle out and lets all the wax and debris come to the top. And then he skims that off. Well, that was kind of our plan too, to do that. And then once it's done settling out, we'll use that honey pump it through there, through a strainer into 5-gallon buckets, because 5-gallon buckets are much easier for us to manage because our bottling tanks are in the basement and we can't really carry a 55-gallon drum down into the basement. So we will store everything in 5-gallon food grade buckets. And we keep it
A
all.
lot harder to carry it out of the basement than it would be to carry it down.
Hey, I could probably just roll that drum down the stairs, right?
And as far as the clarifier, everybody I talk to in the commercial level, it gets rid of the heavies or the,
Okay.
the chunks. And I talked to like Brad and them and Doug Longman and all that they all have, well, of course their tanks are thousands of gallons, but they all have the same principle. It's a settling tank. So you pull off the bottom of the tank and it's clean.
Mm-hmm.
And where like for you with the 55-gallon drums, you get rid of all the heavy stuff with the clarifier, but then you pull off the bottom with your pump, and it should. And yeah, you could probably put just a fine mesh in the bottling strainer in your bucket, and it'll work perfect.
So I had actually, Charlie, earlier you had asked me, Lee, if you can look this up. I know you can post it. Look up through Betterbe, look up Lyson honey pumping pipe. And then I ordered this. Basically, in short, I'll just give you a description of what it is. You ask how I'm going to get it back out. I could just take one of my 1.5-inch flexible hoses and stick it down toward the bottom.
But he's got to be extra.
And then pump it down.
Either that or you could put a valve in the bottom of it.
I could. I didn't want another leak point. So if you look at right here, now for what this is very costly. But I will say this is something I'm going to have for a very long time. So this thing's going to pay for itself without issue. I want to say a big thank you to Brian C.
Brian Coper.
It wasn't Brian Coper.
Oh, it wasn't?
No.
I thought it was him.
For you posted the other night, there was a 20% coupon if you go online and do it. So I was holding off. I didn't do anything with it because I really didn't want to pay $270. But by the time that shipping and all, it actually took the shipping, took the tax, and took a percentage off that price, a small percentage off that price right there for that. So basically, that's a piece of stainless steel. You can run an 1.5-inch tube or a 2-inch tube, either one. It comes for fittings with both, and it does have a little piece that actually holds it to the tank there and kind of keeps it standing upright. So I'm just going to hook it to that, Charlie, and I'm going to pump it out to my buckets.
Mm-hmm.
Why could you not make one of those for a lot less than $300?
I'm sure you probably could.
I think a little bit of PVC would work just fine.
Yeah, I would.
You could use PVC. Most of the stuff that I had, I was trying to stick with stainless on it.
Well, you can buy stainless also if you got a,
No, you're not wrong, JW. You're absolutely not wrong. I needed something now, and I right now I don't have time to do it. And Melissa and I are stretched pretty thin, so that's the reason.
Can't you find him just a little bit more time?
She could.
I mean, that would have saved $300.
That's right.
I saw the money come out of the account. I'm like, I wonder what he bought. Now I know.
A piece of pipe.
Piece of pipe. That's right.
Now, that ain't just normal pipe now. That pipe clamps as well.
Well, I'd go say I would think you could make one. You could make a stainless one or get one made at a reputable machine shop out of stainless for a lot less than $300.
If this would have been winter for me, I probably would have done that. I probably would have went to my buddy who does fabrication and said, I need this type of stainless steel sourced. Here's the picture of what I'm looking for. What can you do for me? And he probably could have saved me $100 by the time that he made it. But again, I mean, money, time, it's, I don't have a lot of money, but I definitely don't have any time. So,
well, that's what I tell them. If you got it, flaunt it, just
that's right.
Well, just remember all of us, Tom, as you're starting to hand down your products, as you're upscaling your business and, hey, I don't need this pump and I don't need that. And, So
Yeah.
The
Remember-
nice thing about honey or beekeeping equipment, especially like the extractors and all this stuff, is if you purchase it and decide it's not working for you or it's not saving you, it pretty well keeps its value.
Yeah.
Like we've not ever lost money on any piece of beekeeping equipment that we've purchased and then resold.
Yeah.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, those data ant tanks that I had purchased, I actually sold them back to the lady I bought them from. They were brand new. Used them for a year and a half. Sold them back to her for the same money that I had bought them for. My first extractor that I sold off, I made a few $100s on it. Now this is after COVID when we got a little stupid with pricing on stuff, so the prices kept climbing up, and that could be part of it right there. But we're pretty well settled into a lot of the stuff that we've got, and I'm liking it. Like I said, I thought about getting rid of the 24 and going with the 32, and I'm going to set up some frames somehow over the winter time to where I don't have to have them on casters, and they'll have like a frame and be a little bit more stable.
So Dean says he's not going to buy a used pipe for $300, and see that's just it. You wouldn't buy the used pipe for $300 because we wouldn't just sell you the pipe. We'd sell you the pipe and those 55-gallon drums as a set, and so we'd sell all that to you for like $500, and you'd be like, oh wow, I'm getting all this stuff. Awesome.
I have no
You
reason
can get those Roundup barrels like you got for $3, on Facebook Marketplace. I still
Roundup barrels.
I know Charlie's
I
got
do
to
have
have
a
some
question
sawmill.
on that 24. Will those handle both radially? Will they radially handle those 24 and 32 Hilcos? Handle both deeps and medium radially?
Yes.
They're not horizontal; they're radial. I mean, where you can spin out
That's
the deeps radially.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
You don't have to flip the frames to do one side and the other.
No.
They all stack in
And
there.
I mean,
from the
background
center
pull
down.
up a product page of it. I'm sure they got pictures on Hilco of it.
Yeah.
Well, they do have, but I'm too lazy to go into
I
detail.
know, that's why I was asking the person in the background to pull it up for you.
I'd rather
He's the man.
ask
He's there.
than to look. Have a little problem with reading.
Yeah. Lee spells it out there as tangential, actually.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, sir, Mr. Quimby. Thank you.
But all in all, we've been pretty happy with what we had this year. I like it. Everything does work. But again, Charlie did reiterate, I don't think that you're wrong when you said it handles the heavy stuff. I would want to strain it down a little bit more, only because I want the presentation and the glass to look really nice, but not to the point that I'm pulling pollens out. So I still want it to be raw. So
Yeah, but what I was getting at was what they've been, all the guys with like Cowan machines and all that, they all have clarifiers, and it isn't super clean.
Yeah.
It just gets the heavies out,
Mhm.
and you got maybe minute fine wax particles left,
Almost looks like foam.
yeah, I would say that's fair. That's a pretty good assessment. Again, I'll have to pull up, maybe I can make a short video of me opening up the last one and skimming it off just so everybody can see what that looks like.
My friend of mine up is a couple, I don't know, 50 miles from me. He bought a Hilco clarifier, and same situation, same bottleneck type of thing. He hasn't got it quite set up yet, but he was taking 5-gallon buckets of honey directly out of the extractor and dumping it into the clarifier and using that straining process and all that, because he hadn't gotten set up yet and how he would do it.
Well,
Is
if
it
you-
not that
Who's
clarifier?
very
It's open where you can run it right out of the spout on your extractor, can you not?
Yeah, you can. You just have to be set up with it,
Yeah.
It depends on.
I'm going to
what-
have one. I had 6 strainers this year on my little my little operation. I got tired of cleaning those dudes, and I bought a bunch of them, and I still had to clean them.
JW, I had the same idea.
We've probably
We-
got at least a dozen.
I
of
probably
them.
have a dozen of those things, and I would run several buckets, and it would frustrate me to no end because you're trying to keep it nice and clean. You have to take them out, go wash them out well,
You're
dry them
shuffling
off,
buckets the whole
bring
time.
them back in, and I'm like, this is the biggest waste of time I have ever encountered, and it just
Yeah. My
Yeah.
final clarifier is a saran wrap in the top of my heated bottling tank, to get the final
Mhm.
toppings off of them. So,
I think you could still modify the clarifier in some way with some type of a, I don't know, some type of a, I don't want to say cheesecloth, but something of that nature that you could probably get it to strain a little better. And honestly, that may be something I might think toward a little bit. Maybe I'll try something different here this next year with the clarifier, making some slight modifications to the, like the last baffle or something. Charlie, maybe to make it a little bit more, I don't know, just to simplify it a little bit, at that point I might have a consumable, like whatever type of filter material that I'm using, but I think.
Well, that was another question I had with clarifiers. I mean, like the one Hilco has, it takes 25 gallons of honey to get it really running.
Yeah.
So I've looked at it that to where I'm like, okay, you've got to be really pushing the honey out of your extractor continuously in order to really make that clarifier work properly for you.
That's right.
Like me, I'll do, let's say two or maybe 3 spins out of my extractor, and I'm done for the evening or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't have a whole all day type thing that I can do. I mean, it works. The bucket strainer, yeah, it's a pain in the butt. You get about maybe 1 or 2 spins out of your extractor, and then you got to clean it.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah.
And all that. And I'm getting, a couple buckets or whatever.
Well, and I think, Charlie, you said before that you'll pull just what you can extract for that day or the next day, whatever it might be.
Well, within 3 days.
That's a wise move, in my opinion. If you're only doing it by yourself, you don't have anybody to help you, and you don't have fancy equipment, that's the way to do it. Only pull what, and if you're just new into beekeeping and you don't know what you can get done in the day, pull 2 supers and start from there. If you only have a home bee yard, you can go out there and grab more. Just pull what you think you might be able to do, and then you'll quickly develop what your production times are, and what you can get done. Then adjust from there.
Just like Brian said there, if you do small batches, clarifier's not,
it would not make sense. No. If you said, Charlie, you said to me, I've got 50 to 75 gallons, I'd be like, don't waste your money. Don't buy it because it's not going to benefit you in any way, shape, or form. You're just going to spend more time cleaning the doggone thing. If you run, I don't know what the magic number would be. I guess that would vary from person to person.
Well, in your situation, you got what do you got? 150 some supers possibly. When you're doing at least 150 supers, like for yourself, and that's where you can justify that $6,000 for that uncapping machine. And you got both of you, the 2 of you. And I had a guy that was helping me pull supers, and he uses my equipment for helping me out. And he's a neighbor. And between him uncapping and I'm taking care of the extractor, making sure it doesn't get out of balance too much. And he's, like you say, having an uncapping tank where you got another set of frames ready to go into the spinner. Yeah, you can really make some time. Mm-hmm. But with me, I'm uncapping to fill the extractor, and then I'm done, and I do my extraction and all that stuff. So I can only get so much done in a small amount of time. Yeah. The only other question, Greg said something about my Quonset hut, and I think I thought he was talking about the junkie camper that my brother had in the back here in the junkyard. But I think he's talking about my barn, and yeah, it's out of the picture. It's off to the left, or it's still there.
You have your hives in front of it. It's kind of like over your, I guess it'd be your right shoulder in the picture. Is that right?
It would be over that way.
Yes.
Where the purple hive is, it starts past that purple hive there.
Okay.
And all. Yeah, that's where most of my nukes are and stuff like that.
Well, if one of your highs ever swarm into that travel trailer there behind you, Charlie, that's a Dirt Rooster specialist. He'll call him. He'll be up there. He likes to do extractions out there.
No, I'll tell you that if I do have some swarms, it's usually a big old log or something like that that they hang on.
Yeah.
Or I had one there that it was a set of axles, and it was like a wheel that it had where they could get inside the tire. It was loose on there. And anyway, they would swarm in there, and and I'm like, yeah, this is great. You just brush them off in there, and darn if they wouldn't take a hike and leave. And all that stuff. And you guys were talking about bottling tanks. I'm like, I bought a Maxant. Of course, I did luck out where my local government supports ag a little bit, and I happened to get a grant.
Yeah, that's good.
And it paid for about half of it. And I've got a 25 gallon or 300 pound Maxant tank.
And Charlie, do you have any issues with it?
Yeah,
It works well for you?
I love it.
Yeah.
I mean, I wish I'd have got it 10 years sooner.
The one thing
People-
the one thing that we like about the Maxant tank that versus the Dadant one is the wall at the top is thicker, where the Dadant one is like, I don't know how thick the wall is, but it goes up and then it kind of goes in, and there's a lid that goes on it. And when you use those bucket rust, like you dump your bucket in there and then you put it on rust. On the Dadant one, it always wanted to fall over because that lip at the top is so thin. There was nothing for it to hold on to.
Yeah.
Where the Maxant, the thick wall goes all the way to the top. So that
wall's about a inch and a half thick or something like that.
So that bucket rust really holds on to.
Yeah, I got a bucket rust from Maxant. I got the they call it the no drip valve. I call it the one drip valve, like JW said. It does one drip.
Yeah, that's me,
But
Charlie.
it's for years. What got with me for years, I'm like, the little small 16 gallon one that now is almost $2,000. It was $1,200 at the time, and I'm looking at that, and I got my 5 gallon bucket here with my valve at the bottom, and I'm like, it's like, how do you justify that? And then once you get one and it's heated and everything flows all the time at a nice rate.
Yeah.
And
you don't have to uncrystallize anything.
Don't have to crystallize, where I used to put my 5 gallon buckets in a water bath and all that kind of stuff. And now, because I bought the 25 gallon, I looked at it when I bought it. I said, okay, first, the government's paying for half of it. Secondly, I'm looking at it as a storage facility. And like tonight, this afternoon, I had sold a bunch of honey and I bottled some more, and I looked down in there. I'm like, okay, I put another 110 pounds or so in there and filled it up, which was about, my buckets are like 55 pounds a piece. And you just put it in there, and it's ready for accessibility. And I've got it on a scissors lift. And I got now, like Joey's got that one. I think that's a 500 pound one. I looked at that and I'm like, man, that's too light and flimsy looking to me. And I went ahead and got the 1,000 pound scissor lift from Harbor Freight, and it works fine. I mean, I jack it up, bottle 20, 30 pounds, whatever I need for my storage area. Yes, I use water in the jacket.
Distilled water.
I use distilled water. I went to Walmart and got the water for baby nebulizers or whatever it is. It's distilled water.
Yep.
And it holds, I think, about 9 gallons. And so anyway, I go out there and I take my foot treadle, jack it up. It comes up to table height. I can sit in the chair. I got a little table off to the side, just bottle. About 10 minutes, you're done, and lower it down. And then I built a platform that's a height of the scissors lift, so I can stand up on that. And there's a tabletop to my right, and then I can just pour the honey into the top of the bottling tank.
Yeah, that's a good idea using the scissor lift thing because I can't fill our bottling tanks because I'm not tall enough. But I can't lift those.
Well,
heavy lifts
I
have
got
to
it
have
to where,
somebody to do it for me.
yeah, I mean, it's 5-gallon buckets are heavy, definitely. I always keep it about 4 inches below the top. That way, it's easier to pour and it doesn't spill.
Mhm.
Mhm.
And I built a little pine platform, real heavy, thick wood, and I can stand up on that, and I put the bucket up on the table, and then I can kind of grab it and tuck it on my arm, and then I can pour it. And then one thing I do is I made some maple 1.5 inch square blocks or sticks to go across that top of that bottling tank, and then I put that bucket strainer in to take the course out just to fine, and I give it another sieve just in case. It might be an ant, or I found one time it was like, it must have been a piece of wood from a wooden frame. Somehow it got in that bucket where it fell off of me or something, and it went into the sieve.
Yeah.
So
And-
Clay has a question about insurance. So we actually didn't get insurance until we started doing cutouts. But we have it through Farm Bureau, and it's like about $450 a year. They have a specific beekeeper policy.
I would say, Clay,
Group insurance.
Say that again, Rick.
Lip balm. Our bee association has a group insurance that covers the beekeepers on like losses and stuff, but I don't know if it covers stuff like liability for like lip balm and stuff like that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
probably not. You probably have to have your separate policy. But yeah, ours is through Farm Bureau, and it's about $450-ish a year, I think.
I would say, Clay, it really depends on the policy that you're looking at. I would talk to your insurance agent. That would be your best bet. Let them know what it is you're doing, and they'll be able to get you set up with the best coverages that you'll need for what you're looking to do. But again, Melissa and I had sold honey the first couple of years, and I kind of thought about it a little bit. It kind of made me a little bit nervous, but you just you're not making much money. And then after we again started doing cutouts, we were selling more honey. I'm like, yep. I'm like, we're gonna look into this. I'm not gonna run.
So Brian brings up a good comment here that some markets and events require liability
Yes.
insurance, and they do.
Yep.
And there were our first few years, there were some farmers markets that I really wanted to do, but I didn't want to get an insurance policy yet, so we couldn't participate in them.
Yeah, that's right. So something to consider.
Yeah, and he's already with Farm Bureau, so if you've got insurance running through that for maybe your house and stuff like that, maybe they'll give you a discount on something else like this, maybe.
Absolutely. And I don't know, again, I would ask your insurance agent about that. They would be much better than anybody on here, I'm sure, unless you're into insurance, but you might be able to do some type of a umbrella policy in some way, shape, or form. But just go to your insurance agent, talk to them about what you want to do, and let them work out a good plan for you. And then maybe even shop it around. Insurance has gotten stupid over the last couple of years, and it's just, even if you're a good customer of the insurance company and not using it, they've gotten pretty ridiculous. If I'm going to say, I feel like I go to work for the first half of the day just to pay for insurance. So it's a necessary evil, I guess. Like Brian said, cost of business.
Yeah, you're paying for all them tornadoes out in the Midwest.
Probably that or the.
That's what I've heard. That's
South.
they come out and said that.
Well, it's not just that. Any catastrophe, hurricanes out of the south, tornadoes in the Midwest, you name it.
Mm-hmm.
I appreciate that question, Clay. That was a pretty good question, and something that everybody needs to think about when they're selling honey or any product that you might look at insurance. And used to, you could actually up your policy, and it wouldn't be that much more. I know we did Christmas trees when I was younger, and from $500,000 policy to $1 million policy wasn't but like $50 extra.
Yeah.
So it was well worth our time, that extra $50, giving it away to get that extra $1 million. So.
And even to go with from a 1 million to a 2 million or a 3 million, you would think, oh, wow, the price will jump a lot. It doesn't. It really doesn't, you know.
It's just expensive to begin with.
It is expensive to begin with. Yeah,
Exactly.
there's no doubt about it.
Let's see. Mark's got a question or something. Talking about insurance, I hit a buck.
That's no fun.
I tell you what, they're out everywhere right now. So, early morning, late afternoon, you guys better be watching because the deer are definitely running right now. They are up here anyway.
Yeah. It's right, that hunting season and the rut's right around the corner, isn't it?
Yep.
It'll be
that's
here
right.
before we know it.
So did Mark was able to get to Houston then, even though he hit the
I don't
deer?
know.
That's Huston. That's in
Oh, Huston, yeah.
Kentucky or Tennessee. That's where Mark's at.
Mark was going out to Houston for a doctor's visit.
Oh,
That's right, Darren. Like whenever we buy things and up, we kind of look at it like, okay, how much honey do I have to sell to pay
Yep.
for this?
There you
How many
go.
bottles of honey is this going to cost me?
yep.
Or how many nukes?
Yep. I did sell 3 queens last week. That was kind of strange. Had 3 different people call wanting queens. So,
Well, you think about it. This is the time of year where you're going to start to see colonies. The strong ones survive and the weak ones are going to start to weed themselves out very quickly, or you're going to start to have queen problems now that there's not good nectar flows or great resources out there. There's a lot of stressors to them. So you're going to start seeing that. You're going to start seeing onesies, twosies, people asking on your local, beekeeping pages, who has queens? I need a queen right away, and this, that, and the other. Most of I usually just start to shrink stuff down and combine it. If they start having problems, I don't usually add a queen back to them. I usually, I mean, if it's gotten far enough along where it's gotten to a laying worker, I just go out there and shake all the bees out in the ground, pull my equipment back, and preserve all my combs and stuff for another colony or something else, and let those bees meander into another beehive or figure it out.
So are you seeing drones where you're at? Because if you're not seeing drones, it's probably too late. But if you are able to get her mated, she's probably not going to be well mated, but she might be mated enough to get you through the winter, and then you can requeen in the spring. Or like Tom was saying, just combine that hive with another hive.
Another thing to consider too is if they were able to make a good queen. A problem like JW had spoke about before on here is he has dragonflies by the tens of thousands out there where he's at. The likelihood of a queen going out on a mating flight and coming back home, it may be all those predators. So,
yeah, Greg. Unfortunately, my Pipto queens that I got from you, I think every one of those hives have swarmed out since I got them off of you, which was 2 or 3 years ago, I guess, and they were great queens, and I've got great dollars from them, but unfortunately, I don't have any of the originals left. So in my bee yard, so maybe it's time to get some more. I may have to give you a holler.
You get a breeder queen off of him.
Yeah, I may have to do that.
That's great news.
I need some good genetics to keep breeding in my stock. That's for sure.
You talk about drones. I've seen a lot of drones at my place. I keep rubber mats in my hives, and I've got a lot of dead ones laying underneath the entrance, on those rubber mats. They're starting to kick them out and destroy them, hurt them bad. That's what women do to men, is kick them out and hurt them bad. Beware. Tom Sussman.
well, I'm not trying to mate any more queens right now, so I'm good to go. Brian brings up a good point here for adding value to something that you already have. I would caution anybody though to check with your state and your local laws to know what you can do as far as some of these value-added products,
Ring honey,
flavoring, things like that. Just for example, here in Missouri, without a commercial kitchen, which there are workarounds for that as well, but without a commercial kitchen, or if you're selling more than $50,000 worth of honey in a year, you technically have to have a commercial kitchen. We cannot flavor honey here for that. So just keep that in mind, especially if you're going to a market. Out towards St. Louis, I had somebody caution me and said, hey, if you're selling out toward this municipality, you need to have a special label. And I don't know exactly how it was written. And there could have been another workaround for this, but he said you have to have a label on your honey that says you cannot give to infants under 1 year old. He said because he didn't have that on his bottle, they actually fined him for that. And this was a small municipality here around St. Louis. So making sure that you have all the proper information and documentation on your labels is very important and key too,
And that's not a Missouri state law that you have to have that. So that was a specific municipality in St. Louis that you had to
Yep.
have that. So
They can make
And they
their-
actually have bee police out there.
yeah.
well, you have the some of the farmers markets, you have the food inspectors come around, and we've
Oh,
only
yeah.
we've only had it in one county. There's like 4 counties around us, and only in one county have I ever had a food inspector come, and only one time check my honey.
Yep. We were all good though, but
Yeah, they'll play that sneaky game. Have you got any samples? And if they
Oh.
give you a sample, that's illegal.
Well, see, you can give samples here in Missouri, but
Oh.
what is in Missouri is different from a lot of other states. Is we have a specific honey law in Missouri that allows us to not have to have a commercial kitchen and the $50,000 and all this. But a lot of these food inspectors don't realize there's a separate honey law because it's kind of, I don't know, it's only been around for what, 7 years, something like that.
something like that.
So, like, we have to educate the actual inspector of what the actual law is, which always goes over really well.
Yeah, I bet.
That's where you pull out the state documentation.
Yep.
You
I
need
haven't
to read
saved.
this.
I have it saved on my phone for
That's
that
right.
specific issue.
You can pass the food inspector the thing, and then you tell them after that when they read it and their face starts to shrink. You say, "Now, if you're not buying honey, get out of my way, please." See how well that goes over, right?
Yeah, ours is where you have to have if you do infusion, you have to have a commercial kitchen. But you got to have your label, i.e., your name and address or whatever on there, contact information. You really don't have to have the infant
Label.
label, but I do. I mean, it is well recommended, for that type of thing. The granulation, mine's a combination granulation infant from Better Bee. And actually I bought, they come in rolls of 500 and they happened to be on, I clipped on their bargain bin. It happened to be in the bargain bin and I saved like $30 some. I bought like 5 rolls or no, 10 rolls, about 10 rolls.
Yeah.
I agree with Roy. You got to be careful as inspectors because they definitely interpret things differently.
Yes.
That's right.
Yep.
He's not wrong. Yeah. I think all about when you are selling honey or you're selling a product, I think it's kind of our duty, whether or not it's a state law or not. I think it is our duty to do our best to represent our product well, but I think that also means a proper label. So if really, it seems kind of silly that sometimes we have to have all these different things, hey, on the plastic bags, don't let your kids play with them and put them over their head, those sort of things, right? It seemed kind of silly, but all in all, especially when it comes to honey, not feed to a child under 1 year because of the botulism thing or whatever, I think that's a wise thing to have on there, whether you would be required to put that on there or not, because you don't want a parent who's not well informed, to give that to a child and then them become ill or worse, So I think having a good product just means not just the what's in the bottle, but having the proper documentation, the label, and everything included. That's just all.
Well, I don't think I would say 90% of the public does not know that.
Yeah.
About that at all. They don't know about botulism. It isn't like regular food botulism, but anyway, it's about you know, they don't have no idea about that when it comes to kids, children under one. So
Yeah, I suppose it is possible that it could be dangerous to a young infant with a weakened or a lesser immune system.
it's, well, what it is, I read up on it a little bit. It's the infant's digestive system isn't completely developed, and it has something to do with that. It's not actually like, you know, where canned food has where it bubbles up or whatever, or that type of botulism. It's different than that. From what that's the way I understand it.
Hmm.
It has something to do with their digestive system.
Yeah, I just wanted to tell Mark, hey, listen, I think that's really great that you went to the doctor and they were able to give you some good news about your cancer.
Absolutely.
You know, something needs to be addressed. You know, we'll continue to pray for you. You know, everything works out well for you. But I think that's awesome, and the fact that you are willing to, you know, help people out if they have cancer going through it. You know, I think that's really important.
Yep.
I'd like to say that I think that a lot of beekeepers, I think for the most part, are a special breed of people and are always looking and willing to help people out in different areas. So, you know what, you could really be a blessing to somebody in time of need, you know, if they got some catastrophic news like that. So well done, Mark.
Really good. Yeah, Mark's a really good guy. And I got to meet him down at the North Carolina Bee Association. I met him before, talked to him, but really got to spend some time with him at the North Carolina Bee Association and down next to the beach. And we went out to eat and got to spend some time. He come back and got on a live with us. Really good guy. Overall, just as easygoing as anybody else. So great beekeeper.
Mm-hmm.
So Mark, we're glad to hear you're doing a little bit better. And
yeah,
if you need someone to talk to, he's, like I said, he's an all around great guy.
That's awesome. So what's everybody's agenda here for this next week when it comes to anything bees? You guys got some big plans up your sleeve, or just kind of letting it ride for now, or what's the scoop?
Just waiting for goldenrod to kick in. We've had yellow wingstem blooming really heavy, and purple ironweed blooming right now. But goldenrod's about to kick up for us, and hopefully we get enough in those colonies that we don't have to feed. But our goldenrod usually doesn't do very well at my location. Other locations it does really well, so it's kind of strange.
What's the elevation you're at, Ricky?
Right around 3,000 feet.
Okay.
Yeah. Spanky, you're right at what, 2,000 feet? Is that right?
I don't know.
Yeah. Somewhere right there. So they see the goldenrod first, but from what I'm been told, there's 7 different varieties of goldenrod in North Carolina, and only 2 produces nectar. So we may see fields of goldenrod, but they're not giving anything. And I think our goldenrod around the house is that way. So.
Interesting.
Yeah, ours is just for pollen. And Matt Morrison there, he had he has a good question there. Yeah, I think you need to condense a hive down.
Yeah.
You got chimney-like effect going up in the top. Yeah, you need to start taking the brood frames and put them down in the bottom too, in my opinion, depending on how much room you got down there.
Yeah, I would agree.
Yeah, those bees will be shrinking back. If you already haven't noticed, it'll happen fairly quickly too when she slows way down. You know, once that peak population starts dying off, you can see them shrink back down pretty quickly, and you'll have too many boxes on there for those bees to defend. You'll notice a spike in potentially hive beetles if they're in your area. Everything from potential rob outs, wax moth damage, all that stuff. So just like you would in the spring, you would actually add boxes to it to accommodate that. You need to pull them back off as they start shrinking back. Natural, gonna happen naturally with them. JW, we missed you, man.
I hit the wrong button, oh buddy.
I figured that. I thought maybe I said something made you mad, and I was gonna have to apologize to you, and have Melissa send you some smoked wings or something like that to make up for it.
Well, you did make me mad, but that's all right.
I figure you're a tough guy. You get over it.
So the colony over top of my head either requeened itself or she just started laying again. I don't know. They were clustered up really heavy right here, but now they've moved all the way back across the combs. Now it's all filled out. So either there's a new queen in there or she decided to go ahead and start laying again. I'm not sure which one it was, but never did see no queen cells. But
whenever you showed us last week, and it was and you showed us the picture of like the week before, we're like, definitely that colony swarm, because there is not the same amount of bees in there.
No.
But it's hard to tell, but looking over your head, I feel like I can still see combs, but maybe they're a little more covered than what they were last week. I don't know. Maybe
they're definitely, you're definitely covered all the way across now, where they were just bunched up right here on this very corner. Now they're all the way back across. So yeah. See how they're actually on the combs now?
Yeah.
So,
That's wild.
Yeah.
And Matt's got another question. He hasn't harvested yet, and he's got brood and everything. Obviously, you don't use queen excluders. I would shake all the bees down and put a queen excluder on and put the brood over. I mean, if they're honey supers,
That's what I would do too.
put the brood up top, and then they will come and cover the brood, and then she won't be able to lay anymore up there.
Mm-hmm.
And then
We actually had a queen sneak above. Well, I don't think she snuck above the queen. Well, I do think she did.
I don't think he had a queen excluder, maybe.
Yeah, he doesn't, but I'm saying our experience was we had one this year when I went to go pull honey. I quickly peeked down inside there and I seen cappings. I'm like, what's going on here? So I pulled a frame out and it was cap brood, and I'm like, what? So Melissa moved on to some of the other colonies while I dove down through there and realized, I'm like, there's got to be a queen. So I started pulling one frame at a time, shaking bees down.
Well, we made a short video about it.
And then looking down inside there, and I seen her in the corner. So I picked her up, caged her, and put her aside. And then I thought, I just wanted to make sure that we didn't find another queen downstairs, so to speak, right? Because that's happened. And then I went down there and there was no brood whatsoever. So then what I did is I uncaged the queen, put her down in the bottom box. I put the queen excluder back on and then put the box on. And then once that hatched out, they filled it back with nectar and all was good.
Yeah.
It happens.
So, I mean, Matt can do that. He can either pull, if he could do that, and he could pull, if he's got cap honey, pull the honey out and leave the brood, condense the brood and maybe in 3 boxes and, get rid of one of the top boxes.
He may be in upper New York. He may be late enough in the season.
Close to,
going to have time to do all that, maybe.
Yeah, that's possible.
He is, let's see. He's close to Buffalo, New York.
No.
Okay. He's pretty far north then. Are you still having any nectar flows up there?
Brian, I haven't even touched our cut comb honey yet. I just pulled the last of it out of the freezer yesterday.
Hey, Brian, I just seen your comment there. I was going to tell you, make a video if you would and post it of you cutting your comb. I would like to just, this is a little bit newer for Melissa and I when it comes to cut comb.
Yeah, this is our first year doing cut comb.
Yeah. And I'd just like to see everybody's ideas when it comes to.
I think Brian's got one of those Pierco comb cutters.
The Pierce. The Pierce.
The Pierce one.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have one of those too.
Yeah.
What are you charging clients for extraction?
One of the beekeepers that's in our bee club that's here is in Eastern Missouri. This is his first year entering some of his honey into the state fair honey show. And I'll tell you what, he had some phenomenal entries. He won a couple of first place ribbons and I think a couple others. And actually his cut comb, I'll tell you what, I haven't seen any that was finer than his. I mean, he did a phenomenal job. And in the past, he was always asking me for advice on things. And I'm like, okay, now the tables have turned. I want to know from you, how did you do it? And he's like, Tom, he goes, I just cut it. Yeah, he's like, I just cut it. Now I'm like, no. I want the details of how you did it, because I'm like, that cut comb was superb. And so I told him, I said, maybe you need to teach a small class on how you did it so people can understand that, because it was clearly a first place award. And I'm telling you, it was nice.
It was pretty.
Yeah, he did a good job.
But somebody said before that those Pierce ones, like I said, we have them, but we haven't used it yet. They don't cut clean enough for like show competition.
Yeah. good for production, and I think they work well, was the way that it was described. But when you want for a honey show, you really want that comb to look pretty phenomenal.
Need to get you one of them real sharp sushi knives from them Japanese guys.
Yeah, there you go, JW.
Something
almost want
thin
to-
and sharp.
I feel like you'd almost want to heat it also, so you're not like cutting the cappings. You're kind of melting them as you go down. But
Or maybe just
Sharp.
some hot water or something. Maybe. I don't know.
yeah, I don't know.
JW, have you ever done any cut comb yourself?
No.
No.
used to be all comb toning, you know, back in when I helped my dad. We never had it was all, you know, foundationless.
Was that back in the 1800s?
When they come out with foundation, that ended my comb or cut comb toning. I can tell you that for sure. That's a lot of work.
Back in the day when you was doing it, did they even have horses back then?
No, I was prior to horses.
Poor fella.
Well, if I'd have paid more attention to my dad, but at the time that he was doing a lot of bees, I was more interested in the birds than the bees. Unfortunately, I was the bees, and I didn't learn much from them.
Oh, I can only picture it now. We need to find Lee's really resourceful guy. Lee, we need to find a picture of JW back when he was in his prime.
Oh yeah,
around the 18 to 20.
Good luck.
Yeah. You know what? We need to start beating up. There he is, right there.
There he is. There's JW.
That coat you got there is just phenomenal.
JW coon catcher.
You have to go to the U.S. Postal Office to find pictures of me, Lee.
All right, hold on. Give us a little clue, JW. What city and town were you? Where were you born at?
Mesa, Texas, in 1944.
Okay, right there.
LAMESA.
Did they have cameras then?
Then-
How did they invent it?
So back in the
Before
day,
cameras.
didn't they keep all those records like with the church and stuff like that? It's where you had to go to find all
I've
that.
got a
You had to go
handlet.
to-
It says Odessa Township. I think it is. It don't even name a town. I was born in a log cabin next to
Yeah.
Lincoln.
Yep. Yeah, Jonathan definitely didn't have cameras then.
So Mark's putting his honey supers up for the winter. Mark, you use the Sertan, don't you, to treat your frames before you store them? I thought you'd talked about that before. So that's what we do.
Yeah, what's everybody else's go-to when you want to store supers? What's your plan? What's your specialty? You have any? How does
I
everybody do
let
it?
the bees clean them out, and I put the
Paramoth.
Paramoth on them. Well, I could use the, what is that, Charlie? What's the name of that?
BT.
Yeah, no, the stuff from Amazon. I just use the crystals. It works just as well.
Okay.
I stack them. I add crystals on a paper plate, but don't use. If you use,
Don't use naphthalene.
yeah, don't use the naphthalene, and then don't use the
Mothballs.
plates made out of the plastic stuff because it'll sure eat them up.
Hmm.
You want to use paper plates. I stack them, but I about every fourth box is where I put a little more Paramoth on them.
Yeah, I got the Enzo from Walmart.
Yeah, that's what I use.
Benzene chloride. That's the one that you want.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we store all of our supers in a shipping container, and that Paramoth, that's so strong.
Oh, I hate the smell.
So that
of it.
was one of the
Gosh.
reasons why we didn't use that, because we didn't want it in
I
that.
love the smell of it myself. That's where I keep mine also.
So
In
yeah.
shipping containers.
Well, and then you guys, when you use that Paramoth, you have to off gas them for a couple days too, don't you? Before you can put them on.
I'm not sure about that. I can't. And in an emergency situation, I wouldn't recommend that you do that. just because I did, but in an emergency situation, I'll jerk them right out and put them right on. And I've never had bees to abscond due to it, or doesn't seem to have any effect upon them. To me, I wouldn't suggest you do that, but that's what I do on occasion.
Yeah. We use that BT, that Sertan, and it works really well. No smell, no off gassing. Spray them, let them set out for the day to dry out, and then we store them.
I just put mine back on the hives, let the bees clean them up, and usually it gets so cold, just shrink wrap them. I don't do nothing to them up here in the mountains.
Yeah.
It's just
Yeah.
too
I just
cold.
set them out in the open, let the bees rob them out, you know.
Well, we do that after we get done extracting. We put them on Tom's trailer and
Yep.
take them out to one of our bee yards and leave them out there for a couple days and let the bees clean them out. And then we'll take them back to the shop, and they're sitting in stacks now in the sun. So hopefully no wax moths or anything get in there. Most of our supers though don't have any brood comb in them, except
Right.
for places the queen snuck up there.
Mm-hmm. I'm gonna go get that product so you can see it.
Um,
Hey, so the Morris Homestead asked, "What's that
BT.
product called?" BT. That's correct. Sertan or BT. I'll go grab a large bottle that we have so you can see what the label on the bottle looks like.
CERTAN, Sertan.
Yeah, Enzo is mothball, but it's benzene chloride.
And it's the crystals.
Yeah, you can.
You don't want
I
the balls.
you can also get them in like a cake, I guess you'd call it.
I mean, the BT is not cheap, but it is efficient, and it doesn't smell, and it can get it done pretty quick. Because we're usually, when we do that, we'll be scraping the hive boxes, the supers, cleaning them up as we one person will be scraping them up and the other person's spraying the frames.
Now the ENOZ, which is a moth cake or whatever, but the active ingredient is diachloride benzene. And if it says naphthalene, it's N. If the mnemonic is, if it starts with an N, it means no, don't use it. Yeah, there we go.
I think
That's
better be
back of a Roundup bottle to me.
No, it was.
Hold
Well,
that.
used
It does keep our each children.
it used to be a Roundup bottle. We just repurposed it. JW.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, BP was around years ago, from what I was told, and then somebody lost the EPA license, and now they've just picked it back up and paid the EPA off with the license for the United States.
Hey JW, you ever had any flavored honey, glyphosate flavored honey?
Yeah, it all come from Mr. Dwayne Davis, Mrs. Kimberly. And by the way, anybody that knows those folks, she's in pretty poor shape.
Yeah.
So they could use some prayers going their way.
He just made a post today. I think it's his anniversary, as a matter of fact, him and his wife. I don't recall now.
You're talking about the guy who owns Dogwood Ridge
Yeah,
Bees, right?
yeah, Dwayne
Yes.
Davis, he owns Dogwood Ridge Bees over in Indiana, correct, JW?
Yeah. Boonville, Indiana. That's right down the right on the Ohio River, pretty much almost.
So Morris, yes, it's a larvicide, so it kills.
Yep, that's the same stuff, Morris.
It's a natural product,
Yeah.
from what I gather. It
Mhm.
kills it goes in and it kills, what is it, the eggs of the wax moth, I think it is.
It is a larvicide.
Yeah, it's a larvicide.
Um,
So we bought like a half-gallon pump sprayer from Harbor Freight, and I put it in there because this is like the concentrate, so you have to mix it with water. I can't remember what the ratio is off the top of my head. Mix it with water, pour it into the pump sprayer, and then we just spray it onto the frames directly. Yes.
That's interesting, Lisa.
I'll tell you one of the good things about the moth crystals in your storage containers, it'll keep all the other bugs and spiders and stuff pretty well at bay. Also, the fumes from it, you know.
Yeah, I imagine it would.
Yeah, I think that's it. 1 to 19. That sounds right, Russell.
We've got the
I
corn
knew it was
flies
like an
now.
odd number, but I think that's right. 1 to 19.
I can get this label out.
Don't rip it, and I won't be able to read it.
Shoot, I just ripped it. You pulled out.
Russell's right. It's 1 to 19.
Okay. I was gonna look at the
I
label.
knew it was an odd number. I just couldn't remember.
You can put it in your coffee in the morning.
Put it. Tom says
Yeah.
in the morning. It kind of has like a sweet smell to it. It's kind of like it doesn't stink. It has like a sweet smell to it. But yeah, that's probably what I'll be doing this weekend. Tom's making a mess in the kitchen.
Now I wanted to show everything what you did.
I didn't taste it yet. I don't know how it tastes, but you can show it.
So I got home today. Melissa had been hard at work. Pretty proud of her, actually. She had wings on the smoker. She made a really good salad and some corn on the cob, and then she made a dessert. And I'll let her explain it, but I'll show you what it looks like here.
So, called a honey pie. I was looking for something. I was experimenting with things to enter into the honey show for like desserts, foods. So basically, it's like a honey jelly is what they call it in the recipe, and this is like a honey. It's like honey and sugar and milk is in this layer, not milk, cream, heavy cream. So it's a layer of with gel. It's all mixed with gelatin, so it's solid, it's firm. But the mixture tasted really good while I was making it. I don't know how it's gonna taste now that it's all firmed up. We'll have to see. But it doesn't smell like anything because it's cold. But so I was trying out a few different things for honey show desserts.
It looks pretty cool.
What do you call that? Oreo honey or?
The recipe just called it a honey pot. So, and it's supposed to have a white chocolate that you smear on like bubble wrap to give it that honeycomb effect. So it's supposed to have a chunk of white chocolate in it too, but I'm not a fan of white chocolate, so I didn't do that part.
JW, there's one thing I would guarantee about this. This will take your blood sugar from 100 to 1,000 in about one beat.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of sugar in that.
This would make me climb up a wall.
Like that made. These are 8 ounce. So these are 8 ounce jars. It made 3 8 ounce jars in one small like 4 ounce bowl maybe. And in this, there's a cup and a half of honey, a cup of sugar.
Yep.
And I think that's it. Cup and a half of honey, a cup of sugar, and then maybe like a cup of heavy cream. So yeah, this definitely isn't healthy.
I can't imagine them talking about food. Can you, Rick? I mean,
No, not at all.
those folks selling.
Hey,
that
Melissa,
one-
you give one of those to Tom every 4 hours, you get more work out of him.
Oh my God. Like Tom doesn't need any of these. He's got enough energy as it is.
He got a tapeworm, so what he's got. You can't be that skinny and eat like you guys do.
Every time you see him, they're eating.
Well, I'm trying to think now where we're going to go eat tomorrow night.
Hey, when I was working with the guys today, they did take me to lunch, and he was talking about going and eating steak, and I'm like, we can't eat that during lunch. We'll get sluggish.
Diabetes in a jar. That's right.
I think we should call this diabetes delight, or we can call it blood sugar or something or other. Something clever. Everybody help us out here. What's a clever name for this? We can call it.
Roy's got a clever idea.
Oreo honey. You know, like the
jar.
Oreo cattle, the belted Galloway cattle, the ones with the white in the middle. I'd call it Oreo.
Yeah.
Make those in small cups.
So
And add
those
vodka.
JW, those are pretty sought after for beef, correct?
Not good beef.
No, come on, man.
That's that's a propaganda that the association puts out on this stuff.
Oh, okay, I gotcha.
Blood sugar bomb.
Green honey money. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've been looking up, because the rules for the honey show for Nabi just came out.
Yep.
So, and then we're going to the Illinois State one in Springfield in November. So they're having a honey show also. So I was looking at what items they're having in their honey show. So I'm trying to start to prepare now to figure out what I'm going to do for some of that stuff.
We get to meet up with JW over there in Illinois and his stomping grounds over that way and get to aggravate him face to face.
That's closer to you than it is to me.
Oh, is that right? Okay. I can't recall again. Was that in Springfield?
Yeah.
Help me remember
Yes,
that.
it's in Springfield.
Okay. So that's about from my house to there. Springfield is right at 2 hours.
Mm-hmm.
How far is it for you?
Well, by covered wagon, it's about that's about the only that you might as well take a covered wagon to try to get there from where I live. If you're going north and south in Illinois, not going to Chicago, it's not very good roads, I can tell you. Stop sign every 37 feet.
I don't abide by those. I don't identify with stops and stop signs. So we're just gonna put that out there.
No, I can't get to Springfield in 2 hours by no means.
No.
Because you can shoot over and hit 55 and shoot right up the track, where
Yep.
You got all interstate. I've got all 2-lane gravel.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's not a hard drive for us. We used to go up there all the time and go boating up there on Springfield Lake, actually.
Oh, I can't imagine that. Boat neat. I think that's all you guys do.
That was back in the day when we had a boat.
We haven't been to the lake in a minute. How long has it been now? A month? We've had to work, JW. So that's what the deal's been.
No, but we're going.
We're going to go in September. There's
like the 14th.
A trunk boat parade down there on Table Rock Lake.
Week of the 13th. Weekend of the 13th.
Yeah. So we're gonna go down there and hang out. Figured JW get that bass boat up there. He'll take me out fishing one morning.
Oh yeah.
Maybe get on some skis after that.
Well, guys, we're going to call the show right here where we're at. And if I appreciate everybody coming on. I'll try not to be late. We'll see how this goes. But if you want to keep listening to B Talk, Charlie's channel will be tomorrow night. It's a great channel. I listen into it a lot of time. If you're in the car driving around, just pop it on, listen to what's going on.
If you're in the restaurant, just break out your iPad, which we've done multiple times.
I don't have an iPad.
And watch it as we're sitting there eating at the restaurant.
That's right. Anytime. I mean, it's a good time to watch some good beekeeping people on YouTube. You got Greg, who was on here earlier. They're Wednesday night. You got Tim and Hannah on Sunday night. So there's just Bee Talk at any time, and we appreciate you guys in the chat that are listening in and giving the comments. And, our channel kind of goes by what are you guys talking about? And, I enjoy it because I learn new stuff every time I have a little channel. So we appreciate you guys, and we will see you next Thursday.
Good night, y'all.
See ya.
We'll see you tomorrow night at 8:00.
There we go.